If we want real characters in our game, there are three fundamental technological hurdles that we must jump. First, the technology of human facial expression. We've got to be able to show people's faces emoting. We've got to show our characters laughing and smiling and crying, looking frightened and skeptical and suspicious and greedy and lustful and romantic. We've got to have a library of 100 different facial expressions, each of which can be put onto the face of any member of our cast. You can't do that yet, can you? I can. I have. The second thing we need is artificial personality. The algorithms of human behavior. We need equations that show how people feel, how they behave, how they react to different situations. And we need this on a gigantic scale. We need to be able to handle hundreds upon hundreds of different behaviors with thousands of different equations. You can't do that yet, can you? I have. And lastly, we need a language of emotional expression. We need to allow our players to interact with the characters in an emotionally significant fashion. It's not good enough to be able to stab them or shoot them or take something away from them or give something to them or talk to them about where the princess is. That's not good enough. We've got to be able to talk about feelings and emotionally significant events. You can't do that yet, can you? Yes, I have. And I don't say these things to boast. I say them to point out how long I've been working on it and how long the path in front of you is. I've been working on this stuff for 10 years. You got a lot of catch-up to do. My very first interpersonal relationships game, Gossip, was published in 1983. It had human facial expressions, artificial personality, and a language of emotional expression. It was primitive, but you know, this industry still hasn't published anything as good as Gossip. That's pretty sad. Well, I continue to advance my work on it on a very opportunistic basis, trying different approaches to successes and failures. It was a very herky-jerky development path I followed. In 1987, I published a game called Trust and Betrayal, Legacy of Seaboot, and that one was a commercial failure. At the time, I blamed it on my own failings. I thought, well, you know, I'm still learning this stuff. I was way out on a limb. I thought that the fault was all mine. What I didn't understand was that I was really up against some fundamental forces at work in the industry, forces that I didn't understand at all. But in 1990, something else happened that served as the kick in the side of the head that woke me up. And that was the reaction to my game, Balance of the Planet. When I set out to do Balance of the Planet, I wanted to do a game about environmental policy. But I wanted to do a game that had some honesty in it, some integrity. I didn't want to do dolphins dancing across the screen. I didn't want to do Zork dressed up in Greenpeace clothing. I wanted a game that honestly addressed environmental policy issues. And that was a pretty tough problem, but I was very proud of the approach that I came up with. The solution I came up with was a pretty good one. It really did address those issues. And in fact, Balance of the Planet remains the best way to learn about environmental policy trade-offs. It's better than any book or television show or videotape. If you really want to understand it, that's the best way. And so, boy, was I proud of that product. And so I was really stunned when the industry rejected it pretty widely. The distributors, retailers, customers, press, game designers too, pretty much rejected this game. They turned thumbs down. No good. Perhaps I think the overall reaction of the industry was best summarized in a review of the game written by some fellow at Computer Gaming World. Let me just read you a few. He said, regarding Balance of the Planet, it is the closest thing to art sold as computer entertainment. But it's just not fun. Therefore, if the game is not fun, it simply wouldn't be right to endorse it. A more explicit rejection of my dreams cannot be imagined. Here they are saying, yes, it's art, but it's not fun. Therefore, now, I'm sorry, Mr. Shakespeare, your play, Macbeth, can dance to. We need some cute, catchy little tunes we can snap our fingers to. What can I do? At first, I fought this. I just couldn't believe it. I was furious. I fought back. But then I realized that this was not really attributable to any to the obtuseness of individuals. No. This was a fundamental force. This was the marketplace at work. Let me explain to you what was going on and what is still going on in our industry. Think in terms of a scale of difficulty, with simple games at the bottom and hard games at the top. But the scale applies to people as well, with inexperienced people at the bottom and very expert game players at the top. Now, any given game falls somewhere on this scale, but it doesn't fall at a single point. It actually has a window. There's the lower level of difficulty and the upper level of difficulty. Now, when you first start playing a game, you normally start off below the lower level. And what happens? You get skunked. The game clobbers you, and you lose. But no problem. You come back and try again, and you learn. You get better. So you start climbing the ladder. And as you climb the ladder, pretty soon you climb above the lower level of difficulty, and you climb into the fun zone, where the game is challenging and interesting and fun. But you keep playing, and so you keep learning. You keep climbing the ladder. As you do, the day comes when you climb above the upper level. Now the game is too easy to beat. It's boring. You don't play it anymore. You put it aside. And then what do? Well, you buy another game. But this game is going to be a little more difficult than the previous one. It's going to be higher up on the scale. And so you'll climb up through that game and put it aside and buy another game. And another. And another. And you're going to just climb right up that ladder, improving your expertise. And the result is something I call games literacy. And it really depends on the genre. For example, I'm really literate when it comes to flight simulators. I played a lot of these. And so when I got Secret Weapons of the Luftwaffe, I took that thing, plugged it in, fired it up, and within 5 minutes I was shooting down P-51s. But when it comes to graphic adventures, every year or two I get the latest graphic adventure, I plug it in, fire it up, and within 5 minutes I'm bashing my head against a brick wall, stumped and frustrated. I mean, I'm so bad at this, I had to call up Brian Moriarty and get hints for low. But we all have different literacy. And so if you think about the population of people out there, it's divided into 3 groups. At the very bottom of the scale are the millions of personal computer owners who are not literate. They don't play games very often, so they're way down at the bottom. Then there's a very small group of people climbing the ladder at any given time. And then at the top of the ladder, there are the aficionados, the experts, the people who play the games a lot. There are a few 100,000 of these people. Now, simple question. If you're a developer, or a publisher, or a distributor, or a retailer, which of these 3 groups do you want to sell to? And the only possible answer is group number 3, the aficionados. Why? Because they're so easy to sell to. They're connected. They read all the magazines. They're on the electronic networks. They all have a big circle of friends. They're always talking about the latest, greatest games. They hang around the stores all the time, and they spend money. These people buy games a lot. And so they're easy to sell to. I mean, best proof of how easy they are, look at the success of Wolfenstein 3D. Here's a game with 0 formal marketing, and everybody's talking about it. How did they find out about it? The network, the connections. Everybody here in this group knows about Wolfenstein 3D. That's the proof of just how powerful this group really is. By contrast, how do you sell to the